Hey everyone, Andre and Jake here on somewhat of a bittersweet note in that it's been announced that Charles Martinet, the longtime voice of Mario for apparently over 30 years, is now no longer voicing the character. So this is huge news, at least for people such as myself who grew up with the game, who grew up with the entire series more accurately, and like have known Mario only by this voice outside of some of the earlier cartoons and actually more recently the Mario movie. But yeah, I want to talk about this. Jake, how are you feeling overall about this? I know you probably don't have quite the history with Mario as I do, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on this.
Yeah, I mean, Mario 64 is like one of my earliest video game memories, I would say. So like, Mario's voice has always just been that one thing. And to everyone, that's I feel like the case. It's a voice that I think is probably to a lot of people maybe more recognizable to even like Mickey Mouse's voice. Because that's not really the first thing you think of with Mickey Mouse, the voice.
You
You know
think
what I mean?
the ears or the
You think
face?
the
Yeah.
yeah, the silhouette, the whole thing, yeah. So the voice in terms of voices, I really think it is one of the most iconic voices in the world. So I mean this is definitely a big deal, and I think where my head is at is that I'm not so much like mourning the loss. I think this is kind of cool actually, but I'm just curious about like if it means anything, because in my head, there are like five different reasons that this could be happening. And I'm curious if it's one of the more interesting ones or one of the more just like it's time kind of whatever ones. And if there is an artistic intention behind what we might be doing with Mario's voice in the future. I don't know if that's the case, but that's kind of where my head is at. There's some possibilities on the table now that I'm curious about.
Well, we'll definitely get to all of that. I
Yeah.
definitely have my own you know we don't fully know why now of all times that this has happened. I'm sure we can speculate endlessly on possible reasons. I'm sure we'll get maybe into some of that, but I don't want to dwell too deep into whatever the actual reason may be. We may never find out. But in any case, here's the official statement from Nintendo.
Mm.
What they said earlier today is Charles Martinet has been the original voice of Mario in Nintendo games for a long time, as far back as Super Mario 64. Charles is now moving into the brand new role of Mario Ambassador, so he's still sticking around in some capacity. With his transition, he will be stepping back from recording character voices for our games, but he'll continue to travel the world sharing the joy of Mario and interacting with you all. It has been an honor working with Charles to help bring Mario to life for so many years, and we want to thank and celebrate him. Please keep an eye out for a special video message from Shigeru Miyamoto and Charles himself, which we'll post at a future date. So, yeah, I mean, for one, okay, so I have to say this news was actually pretty shocking.
Yeah.
Of course, there's been speculation about Charles being replaced based on the trailer for Mario Wonder, and we still don't know for sure whether it's him or not. At this point, I'm thinking it's probably not, just because the timing makes way too much sense, and people were already picking up on some subtle differences there. Maybe it still is, we don't know for sure. I have reached out to Nintendo myself. If I hear back, I'll let everyone know. But even with that, like, I myself had thought this probably just Charles still. He sounds maybe a little different, slightly. Like, if you go back over time, too, his voice has changed. Mario's voice hasn't always been the same. It's varied a little bit. But that's why, like, seeing it cemented now in this official message that, yeah, this is the end of the line. Like, even if it had been speculated before or suggested before, just seeing that now in print, it's like, it's real. Like, this actually is it. And, on the one hand, again, we'll get more into this, I'm sure. On the one hand, I don't think it means all that much because clearly he already sounds pretty similar in Wonder, assuming it's not him. I'm sure there are other people who can do a similar voice to Mario. Ultimately, the games will keep playing as Mario games. It doesn't mean a lot, but on a more subjective, like, personal level, like, it is a little sad for me. Like, I grew up with this character. Mario 64, I remember seeing on a tile screen where he greets you. It's like, hey, or hello, and it's just like he imbued Mario with like such a fun personality. Even if, some people say, especially prior to the Mario movie, like Mario has no personality. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but the personality he does have is like one of like whimsy and joy. And that's what I loved about it. Like, he gave Mario such a fun presence in the games. And I think that no doubt enhanced the games for what they were. Like, they were already, of course, a great foundation, but they made them even better with the possible exception of the Mario Advance ports, which added the voice lines unnecessarily so. Aside from that, I just loved what he added for this character, especially as I suggested in a tweet earlier, like, when we first heard Mario in a video game, really, it was with Mario 64, the first time from an official Nintendo console Mario game, even though there were some roles before, which we'll get into. That was in an era when, like, games were maturing. Everything was edgier. You know, PlayStation was becoming huge then. And here we have the soft, little, cute Mario plumber greeting you in the highest, like, you know, in a voice higher than you expect from a plumber living in Brooklyn, as we knew it. And it was such a fun surprise. And, you know, that carried through all these years later. Just like there's no what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I can't. It's escaping me at the moment. But yeah, just a really fun role, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm curious about you thinking that. So yeah, the Mario Wonder thing I think is such an interesting question because it's on one hand it is so suspect that a bunch of people go, this voice is different, and then a month later Nintendo says, hey, so we're changing Mario's voice. Like, to me, that is just too big of a coincidence for this to still be Charles in Mario Wonder. But at the same time, it, like, do my ears deceive me, I guess is the question, because it does sound really similar. And I think in a way, I am personally hoping that these are, as many people have theorized, new or newer recordings of Charles, and that he is still Mario in Mario Wonder, because I find it to be so similar to Charles's voice that I would rather, if they were going to go into a new direction, it would be something that was maybe a little bit more noticeably different. And I also wonder if maybe, Mario Wonder, who knows when the voice lines for this were recorded. I wonder if maybe that was a point of contention in the development of the game. You know, maybe that was like, okay, from here on out, we want to do something different. But then would it be weird to record all those new voice lines for this game and then maybe never use them again? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, given the fact that he's continuing to, that he will continue as an ambassador for the character to whatever extent that means, like, it does seemingly, at least on the surface, suggest like there's no bad blood or anything. And given the fact that the voice is so similar, as you're saying, whether or not it is Charles, I think does mean that they're not looking for a dramatic change for the character. The timing is odd, though, for a few different reasons. Because, for one, I do think this means this is, you know, I don't think Wonder is Charles Martinet, just because the timing is just too coincidental. Like, why would you announce it now instead of after the game came out, if you were planning to retire with that as his last role? So I think it's something they want to get out of the way before the game comes out. Otherwise, you know, the headline, you know, could you imagine if the headlines were, when people first beat the game, it's like, oh, Charles Martinet is a Mario. That's going to create a narrative that Nintendo doesn't want to deal with, which is, again, is why I think he's probably not in Wonder. And the fact that he does sound so similar, I think, means that they're not looking for a dramatic change for the character. But I actually like that. I do like that Mario sounds, you know, the same, whether or not, again, it is Charles. We don't know for sure. I'm sure we'll find out at some point. We'll get confirmation at some point, perhaps again with Wonder's release. Let
me hit you with a conspiracy theory, Andre. Conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
You know, Nintendo typically has a direct in September. That would not be unusual. We are coming up on the end of August right here with this announcement.
Right.
There is one game that I'm like, maybe Mario's got a new voice in that game, and we're getting ahead of the next trailer in the September Direct, and that would be the Princess Peach game.
So you are suggesting that they're going to do something dramatically different with this game?
Yes, like Mario is going to speak extensively in the next trailer for the Princess Peach game, and we're all going to go, that's not Charles, which is why this announcement is happening now. That's my conspiracy theory.
That, you know, I mean, I love that, because it's not so much a conspiracy theory, it's something that just makes a lot of sense, you know? Like, I really like that idea, because I like it as an idea. I don't know if I love them messing around too much with Mario's voice. In any case, that seems like a logical reason, you know, like maybe they do want to experiment a little bit more. I mean, this is this news. Whoa, okay, I'll get to that in a second. We have a massive super chat from Sub the Gamer Entertainment. Thank you so much, Sub the Gamer. It says, hey, you guys, just want to send you a donation in the honor of our legend himself. I'll humbly miss him for everything he's giving us all. He'll always still be placed in our hearts and live on in his fullest, and continue to live on in his fullest. Yeah, fully agree, Seb. Thank you so much for the super chat. I've been seeing a lot of love in the chat, by the way, for Charles Martinet, because, you know, I'll circle back to this in a sec, Jake, but I think I want to drive home, like, how he, you know, having voiced Mario for literally over 30 years, especially if you account for the things before Mario 64, because he had first appeared in, he was previously to that even in Mario Teaches Typing, as well as the Mario Pinball game in 1992, and he even voiced Mario at conventions, which I think preceded even that. So he did the whole, like, you know, the whole Avatar, you know, what's the anime Avatar thing, basically. He did that for Mario before that was even a thing on YouTube and Twitch, of course. So he's been voicing Mario for over 30 years. And so having a single voice for a character for that long is unprecedented. The only one I think that competes with that is Ed Boon as Sub-Zero, I think. And that's, you know, far more sparing, far more infrequent appearances.
Sure. I was thinking like SpongeBob, but that's not as long.
Oh, sorry. I meant specifically for games. I don't know how it is for.
We've got Andre. We have breaking news. Nintendo confirms Martinet will not voice Mario in the upcoming Wonder game.
Oh wow. Okay.
Breaking news.
Jeez, okay. That's something we'll have to cover pretty soon, actually.
So there you go. So he is not. Yeah. So that is. So my conspiracy theory. Put it to the side.
Okay.
It is in fact what's going on with Wonder. The people were right that they're apparently I need to train my ears. Yeah. So there you go. He's not. Yeah.
Apparently. All right. Sorry. I'm looking into this real quick.
No, please. I will. Let's read out the report for
go ahead.
joining us here. So this comes via Chris Pereira over at GameSpot, and now, who is this? Who is making this statement? Okay, here we go. In its initial statement, Nintendo said Martinet will be stepping back from recording character voices for our games. However, Martinet will continue to be the ambassador, blah, 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 blah. When asked about whether Martinet would voice Mario in the upcoming Mario Wonder, Nintendo told GameSpot, while Charles is not involved in the game, we're excited to honor his legacy and contributions, including looking ahead to what he'll be doing as a Mario ambassador. Where is the bit about Wonder?
Wait,
what is happening?
Okay, hold on.
As for who will voice Mario or the many others typically voiced by Martinet, Nintendo said character voice actors will be credited in the game's credits, so wait for those to be released.
Wow, okay. So I don't know if they have a specific quote there, but they do say at the beginning that that they confirmed is no longer voicing him in Wonder.
Yeah, I guess they don't have a quote, but they have that knowledge.
Yeah, okay. So I mean that's expected. Like that, the timing makes sense. So there we have it. It's confirmed. So that what that means is Charles Martinet's, unless I'm missing something, his last official contribution for Nintendo as a voice actor was in the Mario movie, where he voiced Jumpman, effectively the real world version of Jumpman, and Mario's father, which I think is actually pretty poetic. The fact that he voiced Mario's dad, which I have on screen right now, as his final role, especially because there's this one line near the end of the movie, at the very end of the movie here. I'm gonna play it right now, actually. Hope I don't get copyright strike for this. These
are my boys!
Did that play? I couldn't hear myself. Hopefully that played for everyone at home. I'll play
Not
one more
for me.
time.
I don't know.
These are my boys!
He's saying, these are my boys. It is such a cute line where he's like pointing at Mario and Luigi. Like, these are my boys. How proud of him he is. Which is, such a cute touch, given the fact that he again basically is like could be considered the father of Mario, at least when it comes to the voice. And I love that. So it's kind of crazy that now 30 years later, here we go, new voice time, and it's pretty similar though. Not that big of a difference.
His last video game, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope.
That was it. Yep. Wow. That's interesting. So that actually is his last official appearance as Mario, with the Mario movie being his last contribution in a Nintendo property, as far as we're aware. which
I guess
is
he could appear in like the sequel to the Mario movie. You know what I mean? Like
that's true.
something
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah,
possible.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
there's a few more things about this. Then Jake is one,
Mhm.
what a way to go out though. Like having a movie, a Mario movie as your
Mhm.
last official role for this character, even if it's not exactly
Mm.
as the character.
Mhm.
I think that's pretty cool. Like that's a pretty good way of ending it on. Like you come up from like Mario's humble beginnings, where you're voicing him literally at the birth of 3D for gaming, and now like here he is in his actual first real movie, not the live
Mhm.
action one. But then on the other hand, there what is interesting is a couple of like adjacent news stories, because back in 2001,
Mhm.
someone had asked Charles. I think someone had, or a website asked Charles something about like, how long is he going to voice Mario for? And he said, I want to voice Mario until I drop dead. Then he adds, if someday I think I'm no longer capable of doing it, I will tell Nintendo to look into finding someone else. So this was only, about 2 years ago exactly, October 26,
Mhm.
2001, so not that long ago. Thankfully, he has not dropped dead, so that is not the reason for this change. Maybe it is that Charles just felt, it's time for him to move on. Maybe he didn't feel, maybe, yeah, we don't know why. I mean, even though his voice in the Mario movie was pitch perfect when he did Jumpman. So that, but that may have been recorded years ago. Who knows? But then on top of this, though, Jake, and again, I don't want to speculate too much about this, but I don't get a whole like drama
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, I know.
But when the news was announced that Chris Pratt coming to the movie, another
Right.
voice actress, Tara Strong, I believe,
Yeah.
had tweeted out that she says, "Hey Twitter friends, I happen to know a certain Earth Angel who could use some love tonight," and then tags Charles Martinet, and so suggesting that he may not have been fully happy with how maybe the Mario movie went down. I don't know. As a fan, I think the Mario movie, like how he was incorporated into it, was great. But I could see how maybe as a voice actor, that could maybe solo you on the role where you weren't considered perhaps for being the main character you voiced in the games in the movie.
Yeah, it's tough. I think my artistic stance on this has always been like video game characters, any iconic character, even I think like I always like to use the comparison of comic book characters. Something I really like about superheroes is that like a different writer or a different artist picks up this character and changes it a little bit, makes it a little bit like it's the same character, but we're showing like through this artistic lens how it is different. And you see the same kind of thing in like theater roles, who's going to play this role on stage. And it's like it's the same role, but they're doing it differently. And some people make this role famous and some people don't. I've always felt that way about like voice acting as well, and I understand like wanting to have ownership of a role in a material capacity, but I think Charles Martinet has that, and I'm not worried about his material ownership of the Mario character. And frankly, I'm personally glad that he did not voice this character until he died. I like Kevin Conroy just passed recently, the longtime voice of Batman, and I think that like having to have that kind of exit as opposed to this one is just different. And I think like Charles Martinet's legacy as Mario will always be what it is right now. Will always be like one of the most iconic things ever in any medium, and it will always be great. And we didn't have to go through any amount of time in which people are like, can he still do it? Is he not as good anymore?
Right.
Is this perform? You know what I mean? Like it just did a great job. We'll probably still do some Mario stuff here and there. I feel like it's drama free in a way.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, yeah.
Basically going out at the peak, I mean, before, as you said, before,
Yeah.
maybe it's pushed beyond what you should, perhaps. We've had instances of, yeah, I think you touched on a few of like, actors coming back and it's like, yeah, it's not quite the same. But, you kind of can overlook that too for the sake of it being the original voice actor. But, sometimes it's best, ideally maybe to avoid that entirely, especially if it's ending in a way that every party's happy with. Which, again, we don't know for sure if that's the case or not. But in any case, we do know he's continuing as an ambassador, although someone in the chat, Super64, asks, what does Mario ambassador mean? And yeah, we don't really know. I think what that just means is he's just going to keep going around as he does, like to trade shows or people coming across him in public, and he's just going to do this Mario thing, right? Like, he is, like, every time I met him, he's such a joyful person. He's just so happy to be Mario, so happy to bring that character to life, and I think he's happy to share that with everyone, and it sounds like that's what what he'll probably continue to do. But to me, and again, I don't know for sure, but to me that reads like officially like we're not doing anything else together, but you know, he can keep doing his own thing. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's the public like shaking of the hands almost.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's like the nod. Because Nintendo comes out and makes this statement, then I think there's a lot of like the story would all of a sudden be people looking for there must be bad blood. There
Right.
must be everybody's there was somebody was fired is almost the conclusion you jump to. And I think having that in this statement is like a little bit of a show of goodwill. I also saw that Charles Martinet like retweeted the statement and was like woohoo, or something,
Right, he
and,
said
and said
something,
something
yeah.
positive. Yeah, and I was like, okay, like I'm not gonna go fishing for trouble. You know what I mean? It's maybe it's there, maybe it's not. But there's no reason for me to like go out of my way to assume that there's like some weird money grubbing weirdness happening here when there's no indication of that really.
And I mean, and even if that is what it is, like, so be it. You know, like maybe someone
Sure.
didn't want to pay as much as someone else wanted. It doesn't matter. You know, like those kind of disagreements happen all the time, and that's really not our business if that is what it comes down to.
30 years.
Yeah,
My
30
man-
years.
my man did this for
That's
30
an amazing
years.
legacy. Like that can't be undersold or undervalued. That is an insane time. Like literally, basically, the first official voice this character had has been his voice for 3 decades. We obviously knew that couldn't last forever. Sadly, we haven't invented how a life elixir, a magical life elixir at this point. But the fact that it lasted as long as it did, and especially compared to other characters, like look at Sonic. How many voice actors has Sonic been
Look
through?
at Sonic. Look at God.
Like, Mario's had amazing. Maybe it speaks to a larger issue here, Jake. Mario's been consistent. They've been consistent with that character, right? Sonic a little less so, and maybe that has its benefits as well. But I like that. You see Mario, you know Mario, you know exactly who that is. You hear his voice in your head, and I do like too that seemingly. Oh, my desk is. Oh shoot. Oh boy. My desk is lowering. Oh my god!
What happened?
Oh, I'm trying to fix it. Oh my goodness! My desk started lowering on me and threw off everything. I have a raising and lowering desk, and wow, I feel like that might be symbolic of something. I don't know what. That almost crushed my computer. Anyways. Where was I? What was I saying? The fact, 30 years as the same character, insane, and the fact that they're continuing with his voice style in Wonder, probably beyond, I think speaks to that performance.
Yeah, I think so. I'm curious now if like in Wonder we're gonna like hear more Mario talking, maybe the next trailer, if that's gonna be the thing, or if it's just kind of like if we're just gonna keep going on this path where to the average consumer, will they never realize that Mario's voice has changed?
No.
Maybe.
I mean, we don't know for sure. Based on what we've heard, I would suspect most people probably won't pick up on a difference.
Right.
But obviously the hardcore fans already had. For most people, I don't think it'll mean much unless again they go in a drastically new direction, whether in Wonder or in subsequent games as well. Which then it may stand out. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think when it comes to Nintendo, we had a couple more super chats too, I think, here that I missed. We had another, real quick. So I think when it comes to like Nintendo, it doesn't really mean a whole lot. Like they're going to continue on, Mario's going to be fine, and ultimately it won't affect the sales at all or anything. The Gamer with another super chat, thank you, says, here's the last one for good measure. I can't wait to see who's going to be Mario's newest modern actor. Yeah, we're going to find out, I guess, with Mario Wonder's credits. It sounds like Nintendo's probably not going to reveal it before that point. Even though we now know that Charles Martinet is not the voice. Then we get another super chat from Rafe Alfaro. Thank you so much, Rafe, who says, hi guys, so sad to hear about this, as everyone has such fond memories growing up playing Mario games. However, I'm sure whoever ends up being the next Mario voice will do an amazing job, so I hope everyone is supportive. Yeah, 100%. Like, I don't want to see any, I don't think we will, but I don't want to see any, people harassing the new voice actor or whatever. Again, I'm not expecting it, but hopefully we don't see that. But we have sadly seen instances of that before. But I think in this case, especially given like the respect it seems to be paying to the original role, I can't imagine any controversy coming from this.
I'm curious if the expectation is that the new voice actor is American. I think I was always like surprised by that back in the day, like that they went with that
From like a
just
Japanese
because
company.
yeah. And I wonder if that's like a consideration as well. I'm curious if it will be somebody who like is a known voice actor or is just
No.
somebody that like you don't think so? It's just
No,
somebody
not
we've
not.
never heard
I
their name.
I will be shocked if it's a name we've heard that most people have heard of before. I think it's going to be either someone they found that specifically for this
Mhm.
role, or someone who's just maybe a voice actor that has done a lot of other like uh smaller roles. I don't think we'll
Mhm.
see like a recognizable name attached here. Maybe I'm
No.
wrong, but yeah, I'd be very surprised if that's the case. I do wonder actually if they're actually going to go with like a singular Mario voice actor going forward, or they actually might start to diversify, if only so that they're not locked to a single voice actor in case something happens.
It's
Um,
interesting. I kind of like that idea. I think maybe it should be multiple people because I'm sure you could get 10 people in a room that can all pretty much do the exact same voice. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It might depend on the specific game. You touched on this earlier, possibly. Like maybe
Hmm.
with this Princess Peach game and Mario's in it, maybe they'll go in a different
Yeah.
direction. Just as Andre for the new voice. You don't want to see. You don't want that. Um,
Wait, so do you think Wario was different in that other trailer too? Do you think that was a different Wario? Because some people
yeah,
thought that Wario was different.
that definitely was not Charles Martinet. A lot of people suspected that was a placeholder. So that's a whole issue we even touched on, Jake. This isn't just Mario. It's the entire Mario cast. It's like all
Right.
the male characters. It's Mario,
Yeah.
Luigi, Wario, Waluigi. I think there's
Mhm.
maybe even a few others in there. Oh, the baby characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all of them, and those guys like Wario and Waluigi, Luigi too, but especially Wario and Waluigi. I feel like their voices are so distinctive as well. I feel like I don't know the first thing about voice acting, but I feel like even matching those specific impressions might be more challenging than Mario.
Luigi is the one man, I think that might be different the next time we
Yeah.
hear it. I think, yeah, I'm like, maybe Luigi, but I guess it's Luigi's in the Wonder trailer, and I think we hear Luigi, and it sounded similar.
We have to go
enough,
back. We have to go back and analyze it
Yeah, I
now,
gotta go
knowing
back.
what we did.
Gotta-
It'd be hilarious if Charles Martinet voices Luigi still, but not Mario, which only Mario he's not voiced. I mean, I guess, interestingly, they only did specify Mario, right? They didn't specify the rest of the cast.
Oh man, this is a can of Mario.
It is a can of Mario. Michael Kessler with the super chat, thank you, says Mario's voice will always live on. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There's such a legacy with this character in some of the biggest games of all time. Like, I think, his voice will forever be remembered, at least for as long as we live. Like, that's not going anywhere. Especially with them seemingly continuing, at least so far, the essence of that voice.
Okay, really quick, Stephen Totillo, a Nintendo rep, confirmed to me that Charles Martinet will not perform any voices in Super Mario World.
There we go. Okay. I mean, we suspected that. So
Yeah.
all right. So this is gonna be enough for another news update when we're done here.
Yep.
Okay. So confirmed. Yeah, Charles Martinet out entirely. Which yeah, I mean, it is again what we expected. Just weird thinking about. It's like 30 years of Mario characters and it's over. And yeah, it's a little sad. Like I mean, it's fine. The games will be fine. It's all fine. But, as one who loves Mario and loves the characters, loves the games, like, it is a little sad that, this iconic voice, that the voice actor for that voice is no longer involved. And on top of that, like, Charles Martinet, again, having met him in person many a time, including, like, interacting through Mario with him at E3 and other gaming events, like, he's just such a fun person, just a fun guy. He really embraced, like, there were times where I think he just straight up, like, where it came across almost as if he just thought he was Mario. Like, he just acted as Mario, and I'm like, that's really cute.
Yeah, I think that's honestly pretty freaking sweet that, like, for nearly 30 years, you've had this guy in this role, and we never had to, like, report on a story about him being bad. Like, we never, you know what I mean? Nothing ever came up. It was just cool. He, like, did his job, seemed like a good dude, and that was the story. That was it. So, I appreciate that. Yeah. I kind of have a question though.
Sure.
I'm just thinking. A lot of this I think is a little close for comfort in terms of proximity to the Mario movie. I think we cannot understate the success of the Mario movie. And I think also Nintendo's internal perceived success. I just in my own head canon, picture like Miyamoto looking at the box office numbers for the Mario movie and just like kicking his chair back, having the time of his life, just like happy as all get out. And I know like Chris Pratt is obviously not going to be Mario in these video games. Like, obviously. And I think we all kind of assume that to be
like
true.
the fact we didn't even bring it up until now. Yeah.
At the same time, is there any possibility, any in your mind, that they say, man, that really worked for us. Let's get a guy, maybe somebody like Chris Pratt, something like that, and incorporate this kind of talking Mario into a game. Let's do it. Let's do a Mario RPG where this man talks.
Yeah.
Like, is that, do you see that as a possibility at all?
Yeah, nothing's off the table. I think it is entirely possible. I mean, we didn't explore the possibility of them ever making like a game version of the movie, you know. But yeah, I think that could possibly happen because, you know, we've heard you know, Mario speak longer sentences before, and you know, some people are totally fine with it. I'll be honest, like, I love Mario's voice. It feels a little weird for me whenever I hear him go for more than a few words. I'm like, okay, I don't think it quite works on the longer scale, which might have been why they changed it for the movie. But yeah, I mean, I think now if there were ever a time to experiment, it'd be now, especially given the fact, as you said, the Mario movie, massive success, even especially, you know, after all the, you know, initial reaction to Chris Pratt as Mario. Even myself, I'm like, you know, I'm gonna wait until I hear it, but that seems weird, you know. I loved it. I thought it was a great performance. I thought he did a great job. It's like Mario doesn't necessarily always have to sound like this in every instance he appears. And if that means Mario might talk more in a game, maybe in a like Mario RPG or something, a game which it's so actually funny thinking about how, you know, a genre of games which are known for being dialogue heavy. Mario's a completely silent character. They could go in the opposite direction now and maybe actually have him contribute by talking.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it would be cool to like get a you know, not this Nintendo Direct, but maybe the next one. Maybe we start talking about Switch 2 and they're like, hey, here's our next big Mario game. And we're trying to capitalize on the success of the movie.
Right.
Look at this guy. Look at how he looks. Look at how he talks. You know, I don't know. I just think that'd be an exciting turn for Nintendo. But I saw some people in the chat. I saw somebody say that when they grow up, they're going to get this role because they do a really good Mario voice. And now anybody that thinks that and you're watching right now, I just want you to like tweet at GameXplain your Mario voice. Do like hashtag it's a me and just like a little voice clip of you doing a Mario voice, because I want to hear some great Mario voices. I think that'd be fun.
That'd be amazing. Oh my god, I want to hear all the impressions. You don't want to hear mine though. Nebulous Blizzard with a super chat. Thank you, Nebulous Blizzard. Says, Charles playing Mario has been a part of my life for so many years, and I'm proud to have grown up to see his peak at Nintendo. Hashtag thank you, Charles Martinet. 100%. Like, again, that's basically the case for me too. You know, I was 10 when Mario 64 came out, so still, you know, quite young. And ever since then, like, that's been the Mario I've known. And yeah, again, it's like, it's weird now as I approach my middle part of my life / in it. It's just weird having this giant change, you know. But it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine, everyone. But yeah, you know, Charles, again, super nice guy. I love meeting him all the time, and it's, you know, I hope he has a great career after this as a Mario ambassador, whatever else he decides to do. Which
if there are multiple Mario voice actors, I think we should call the group of them the Mario Party.
The Mario Party, I love it. Yes, the Mario Party. That's great.
Yeah.
Anything? Is there anything else, Jake, we should touch on related to this news?
Yeah, I see some people in chat talking about this, and it's like, yeah, I mean, if Super Mario Odyssey 2 is coming up, I think hopefully, Game Time says hopefully it sounds like Mario. I think, like, I just don't think anybody needs to worry about that. I as we kind of said earlier, I highly doubt that, especially in like big Mario games, it's going to not even like register as a blip for people that are not like hardcore consumers of Mario content. So the character is what the character is. The character is like hugely iconic. The biggest deviation we've ever seen was obviously with the Super Mario Brothers movie. And at the end of the day, how big of a deviation was that even really? How, like, let's be honest. You know what I mean? I think we went into it thinking it was going to be a lot bigger than it was. And now I think about that movie and I'm like, yeah, that's Mario more or less. Like, I don't know. It didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good. That's a really good point. Like, it feels like, you know, the voice was different, but it captured the essence of the character.
Yeah.
And that's really the most important element. You know, Mickey's voice has changed over the years, but you still recognize that as Mickey. There's only like a handful of examples that jump out at me of like voice acting, like a changed voice actor for a character where it is really off. For me, actually, the only one that really jumps out for me is Kermit the Frog. The modern Kermit, I cannot stand.
I was thinking of Kermit the Frog as well, actually.
There we go. See,
it's different. Yeah.
And that's where like it missed the mark. And that's, I guess, it's probably not just the voice in that case, but I think it's a little of both. Mac and Friends says, Andre, Jake, I feel like we're not in the good future anymore. Aw.
What?
It's gonna be okay. I mean, granted, you know, there was like, you know, there are like hurricanes and earthquakes happening now, and Charles Martinet no longer voices. I'm not saying they're related. They're probably not, but
Gosh.
It's gonna be fine.
It's funny. I'm curious if there will be any, like, I don't know. I just want to hear more now. I just want to hear more new Mario. I want to see what he says. I want to give him a weird new line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like one big line that's like, whoa, Mario has never said that before. It's a you know. He goes over to somebody. It's a you. I'm like, oh my god, it's a you. Oh man. I just think that'd be cool.
Kind of to that point, Jake, Jordan asks, do you think they'll reuse some of the old voice lines for some of the games in the future, like Mario Kart?
That's a great question. That is man, that is so up in the air for me. My guess would be just where Nintendo is at right now. I think that they are positioned to kind of make a bit of a transition. I think we are like approaching a new console likely within the next year.
Right.
I think the Switch was in its tenure kind of a place for reinvention for Nintendo in a lot of ways. So, I don't know. I think Mario's kind of in a good place to get new lines. I think a lot of like the sports games and kart, I think a lot of those games were already reusing lines that have been reused for a long time. Yeah, so I think maybe it's like a good time to just kind of refresh the database. So maybe we just get a bunch of good stuff. Like, I don't know how recording voice lines for Mario works. My assumption is when you bring somebody in to do a game like Mario Wonder, they're probably not just trying to get every line that they can use in Mario Wonder and then letting that person like sign off for the day. My guess is that they're doing a bunch of like general Mario stuff, and now they have a general Mario database. So when they need to make Mario Baseball after Mario Wonder, they go, oh, okay, well, we just had Jimbo in here for Mario Wonder. Let's go to the old database. Oh, these are perfect for Mario Baseball. That's my assumption.
We've seen this time and time again where they reuse voice samples like over 10 years ago. Yoshi's, I think, been the only finally recorded something new for Yoshi recently. Maybe I'm even wrong on that. But they've been reusing...
Yoshi, I will say, was the one in that Mario Wonder trailer that I was like, that's different.
Okay, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, Wonder is the one that's finally changing it. Otherwise, it's been the same voice samples for decades. But it's specifically to answer that question, I think at this point, my assumption would be that we're not going to hear Charles anymore. So all the old voice sample, except for maybe re-releases, possibly remakes, but probably not even then. But re-releases, yes. Anything else? Anything actually new? No. They're gonna build a new library. They're gonna reuse those voice samples in the future, or just re-record new ones if they need it, and that's gonna be it. So.
Yeah, I agree.
So, which means they have next Mario Kart, different sounding Mario, which it's going to be a little strange, even if, again, it sounds very similar. But, you know, I think
please,
if this is an excuse to finally give all the Mario cast brand new lines, then so be it. You know, maybe we needed this.
I think like word on the street too is that Mario Kart Tour is like winding down, and maybe that's gonna end soon. So again, another good opportunity to just kind of get a clean slate here, get a fresh batch.
It's so interesting now that you mentioned like the timing of this. Like, it really does seem like we're almost in a bit of a I mean, there's always been Mario games, but it feels like we're almost like in a lull/transition right now.
Yeah.
We had the Mario movie, which really acts as like you have the before Mario movie and after Mario movie. We had the Switch, Switch probably moving on to a new generation, Switch 2. Mario Wonder's coming up, which is a very weird take on Mario in general. And Mario, it's been years since a proper new 3D Mario. Yeah, it seems like if there were a time to change it, now's it. Like, I don't think you could have picked a better time to change a character as big as Mario than now.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of interesting too. It makes me wonder about, like, if you would have asked me before this about like Mario Odyssey 2 or whatever the next big 3D Mario game is, my assumption is that game has been worked on for like a really long time, maybe even to the point of having recorded voice lines already.
Right.
And to think that like that is the that is the case, and that's not Charles, it's like, oh man, this has been cooking for a while. They've kind of I feel like maybe since before the Mario movie, they've kind of known that they were going in this direction. For this, what you were just saying, for this period of time, which does feel focused on reinvigoration and just kind of like refreshing the Mario franchise. And I think we all see that with Wonder. I think Wonder is the most like clear indication of intentional, building from the ground up.
Yeah, it's a game built around subverting expectations. So what better time than to switch up the voice of your character than now? Although Dan Christian raises a question, a point I want to bring up as well. They say, is Charles still going to voice Super Nintendo World? And that's actually a really interesting question, because for right now, it seems like that's also a great way to kind of end your legacy as Mario. Your voice is entrenched in a theme park. That land will live on for decades. But it is it's very much a digital attraction. They could swap out the audio at any time. They could change it. They could update that Mario's voice to the newer Mario. And yeah, that would be interesting.
Now I'm almost like, maybe this is stupid, but I'm almost curious if like we don't know that this is the case right now, but what's actually happening is that we are in a period of preparation for what will be known as classic Mario. And there will be a Mario that is always Charles Martinet.
Yeah.
And it is like that's that Mario that you think of. But then maybe next 3D Mario game comes out and he's, from classic Sonic to modern Sonic, he's taller, he's got longer legs, he's got more attitude. He's, what I know.
Oh man, see, I didn't even consider this. Like if they use this as an opportunity to just transform Mario as a character. See, I would not like that. I don't want that could go quickly off the rails. That seems a little scary to me.
He has a cell phone. He's like, he's on TikTok. He's making videos.
Oh my god, he's an influencer. Yep.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, we'll
Luigi,
see.
I always thought if Luigi ever received a big redesign, I think he should have glasses. I've always thought this. I think Luigi makes sense with glasses. I think it'd be funny when he's like getting scared for his glasses to like fly around his face. I think like that. So Nintendo, I have a whole vision for this.
Dusk Dash says, "Jake, please no," and I'm there with Dusk Dash. That might be that sign that we're nearing the end of the stream. We had a super chat from Vidiot who says, Mario gets a second voice. Meanwhile, us Sonic fans have been through 5 through 7. Laughing emoji. In all seriousness, though, thank you, Charles, for voicing everyone's Mario. Yeah, it's hilarious. Sonic has had a voice for less time than Mario. Has been through, seemingly an infinite amount of voice actors as compared to Mario. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think Sonic only started talking in the Dreamcast one, right? Adventure.
Sonic Adventure?
Yeah, which I guess actually that was only a few years after Mario 64. It feels longer for some reason, but yeah, again, we mentioned that earlier. Like the fact that Charles Martinet is effectively the longest voiced, the singular actor to voice a character in video games is super impressive. Again, matched only perhaps by Ed Boon. At least if you discount the pinball table that Mario voiced, or sorry, that Martinet voiced. I just realized, by the way, two things. Mario, Martinet, and Miyamoto, the triple M's involved in bringing Mario to life.
Yeah, that's weird.
Isn't that weird? Also,
yeah, that's weird.
Fun fact: while Wikipediaing Charles Martinet, you know what his middle name is, Jake?
No, I don't.
Take a guess. What do you think? It's not Mario, but
Luigi.
Okay, no, It's Andre. His middle name's Andre. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah,
Okay,
I
cool.
thought that was neat. We got
Yeah, that
another
is
super
fun.
chat from Stephtendo who says, which end game uses the most voice acting? Star Fox? Which Nintendo game uses the most voice acting? Star Fox? No, it has to be like a Xenoblade.
Oh yeah, it's definitely one of those. Man, now I'm like running through them in my head, and I'm like, man, these Nintendo games are not out here voice acting. They are, yeah. There's just like not a lot of talking.
Yeah, it's gotta be. I think if you're talking like eternally from Nintendo, from like their conventional first party studios, it can't still be Star Fox 64, right?
Somebody put Kid Icarus Uprising in the
Oh,
chat.
it would totally be Kid Icarus, 100%. If besides like Xenoblade and stuff.
That's only like that's a Sakurai studio.
Yeah,
like,
that's true too. It's barely.
You know what I
Nintendo.
mean? That's like barely. Yeah. So, cool.
Yeah.
What was the? I had something, but it is long gone now.
Real quick, chat. How are you all feeling about this? About the voice of Mario retiring as the voice for that character? Charles Martinet no longer doing the voice. We're gonna have a new voice Mario, a new Mario voice, even if it sounds similar so far. How are you guys all feeling about this? Sonic the Hedgehog feels sad, apparently, in the chat.
Oh.
So yeah, Sonic would know. Pajamas is crying. Phantom's heartbroken. Guy User says, I hope this doesn't mean the end of the Mario franchise. Don't worry,
Well.
I don't think it will. But yeah, a lot of people are really sad and heartbroken about this, and that's how I feel too. Like, I don't think it's fully set in, like but I really think that to some degree, Charles Martinet's impersonation or the life he gave that character, I think really did help make that character what he is. I wonder to the extent that it helped even inform Nintendo of who Mario is. Mario's always been like a happy-go-lucky guy, but it was really in the 3D games in Onward where he like turned into like this even sweeter, like cuter character. You just kind of like want to, like hug or whatever.
I think like that is the ideal path for him as a Nintendo ambassador or Mario ambassador when I think about it. If he has any kind of input over the depiction and representation of that character moving forward, because you have to imagine that my man just like knows and understands Mario. You have to imagine that.
Right.
So to have that represented in like a professional capacity would be really cool, I think.
By the way, Nintendo did get back to me. I have the official statement from Nintendo on this, so we can we can back up the reports ourselves. The statement that they provided us is, while Charles is not involved in the game in Mario Wonder, we're excited to honor his legacy and contributions, including looking ahead to what he'll be doing as a Mario ambassador. Character voice actors will be credited in the game credits, so please wait for the game to be released. So
wow. So you know what's funny about this? They have no intention of saying who these people are until the game is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you'll see for yourself.
It's so weird because this does just feel like Nintendo. I'm having difficulty placing why I'm feeling this way, but I felt like we've seen things like this before where like it's a mystery until the credits hit and like, oh, that's who was there or who was involved.
They don't want you to see behind the curtain.
I know what I'm thinking. Yeah, no, that's totally it. I know what I'm thinking of. It's how we don't even know like who the studios are involved in these games. Like the Mario RPG remake, I don't think they said whether that was Square or Nintendo. From what I understand, I think it's Nintendo, but I don't know that for sure. And it's so weird that they are so protective of that information when it's like, why? It's like, I think they only just wanted you to focus purely on the result and not anything behind the scenes involving it, by and large.
There's got to be a couple of Mario voice lines in Mario RPG, by the way. So I guess the assumption is that those are new as well.
Why do you think why do you think there's voices? Because he used to act out everything in the game. Like he very much,
I know,
he very clearly did not talk in the original. Like
you don't think there's gonna be one little wah? None of that, like, because I only bring this up because there was a whole thing about people thinking that Gino might have a voice, right? Because you can see in one of the clips he moves his little mouth, but
yeah. I mean, anything's possible. I mean, I guess it is weird now to think of a Mario game in which he's not yelling whenever he jumps, but we hear. Yeah. Did we not hear sound effects from the trailer when we were watching it, and we didn't hear anything, right?
I'd have to go back. I don't know.
The only obviously we didn't hear any voices. We would have noticed that. The only thing
Yeah.
I want to know is, do we see a jumping scene in which we can hear him jump, but we don't hear a voice clip accompanying it? I'm guessing we don't. In the original game, you just did hear the Mario sound effect, and that's
Sure.
that might still be what it is. But maybe they will add a voice. Who knows? Maybe they
I just
wanted.
think my man, he's gonna get bumped into. He's gonna
Yeah.
get somebody's gonna run into him, and he's gonna go, oh, in like classic Mario way. Like I don't know. There's gonna be something, and I wonder if I'll have to wait till that game is released and go to the credits.
Yeah, that's right. So after like the game's released 5 to 10 hours later, we'll have our answer.
That's correct. On a good day.
Pixel Craftian says, I miss him already. Yeah. Thank you for the super chat, Pixel Craftian. I hear ya. I do too. Like, again, it hasn't even fully set in for me. I'm going to get on with my day, of course. Like, no one's died here. But, it is still sad. Like, it is the end of a legacy that for anyone who grew up with Mario, like, that's been our entire span with this character. When he became a character, it's been with Charles Martinet at the helm of that voice. So it is like a big change. Although I think the Mario movie did kind of like help prepare us for this. Like it's like, hey, here's Mario with a different voice. It's similar but also very different. And every region had that. Although some regions were a little closer to conventional Mario than not. But yeah. Wait, Oliver says, I miss Mario, but GameXplain, read this please. What if Hotel Mario voiced Mario? We're never getting another Hotel Mario. I don't know what. We're not getting that.
Now, we might get a Hotel Mario, but it will be attached to Universal Studios Mario World.
Exactly.
Yes.
But by that point, it would have to be the new voice. So we'd have potentially the new Mario voice in the hotel alongside the classic Martinet voice in the Mario Kart ride. And as literally the talking mascot costume Mario that walks around.
You know what's fun about this? Now, there is a degree to which every time you ever heard a Mario noise in any Nintendo game, it just kind of washed over you as something you expect to hear. Like when Pikachu says Pika Pika, I don't even hear those Pikas anymore.
Right. No.
I just black out and I know who that is.
Oh man.
But now, in every direct, in every trailer, and every little piece of content we get of these bozos, anytime anything comes out of their mouth, we're gonna be so attuned to it, and that's kind of fun, actually. That's like a good time. I'm happy to pay attention to it again in a way. Yeah.
Again, it's actually impressive that people were already picking up on this with the it's to the point, Jake, that I had so married the voice with the character that even with the differences, I actually, I am known for analyzing things in depth. It didn't stand out to me. It wasn't until people mentioned it that I went back and like, you're right, there may be something different here. But the fact, I think the fact that the impression is as convincing as it is, combined with the fact that I just didn't expect anything other than what we'd known, made me, maybe not just overlook the entire thing entirely. But now that we had the mindset for it, Jake, you're right. It'll be interesting to hear, do pick up on it going forward. Pajama says, do you think it's because of the Mario movie? We touched on this earlier, and again, I don't want to dwell too much on speculation, because we don't know. We may never know, and we don't even need to know, probably. But, I do think there's a chance it played a role in all of this, just because the timing seems like it matches up. But, I don't know. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day, and it seems like everyone's, still ending things in a very...
And I kind of think you need to look at it less as because of the Mario movie and more as like an ideology that accompanies the Mario movie.
Right, yeah.
Because these are plans made. Well, I don't think they're sitting there going, all right, if this thing works out, we execute plan A. And if it doesn't, that plan B. Okay,
that's a good point.
Like
that. This isn't news to Nintendo. They've probably known this for a while at this point. So yeah, this isn't. They're only telling us now because Mario Wonder's around the corner, and they have to get ahead of the story. So
yeah, it feels like they have a vision. Again, I'm glad that he didn't voice his character until he died. I'm reminded of Lance Reddick, who voiced Zavala in Destiny. And like he died earlier this year, and it was like such a sad thing. And I think that I honestly think that this is like a cool way to go, just because again in my head I like to imagine that this is a artistic decision from Nintendo. This is them expressing that they want to go in a direction for whatever reason, and I'm excited to see how that plays out. Even if I don't know, it's just like a fun thing to watch happen.
It's a change. A change isn't always bad, and it's not always good or bad. It can just be different, and that's fine too. Especially again when the premiere game for this is a game that's all about uprooting expectations. And Super Mario Brothers Wonder, it's meant to be different, so kind of a fun way of introducing it. Rebellious Trico says, I wonder if Wario and Waluigi, etc., will all be voiced by the new actor, or there will be different ones. That's a great question. You know, we talked about this briefly earlier, not that specific angle, and I just assumed they would all be different. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll find a single voice actor. Oh my god,
I didn't think of that either.
Yeah, right? Because I feel like
I think they're different too. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
They've already have they already have multiple voice actors for the other Mario cast. I think Toadette isn't voiced by the person who voices Peach, who isn't voiced by Rosalina. I think I'm not as familiar with the that.
Oh yeah,
side.
I can't confirm that.
I could be wrong on that, but in any case, I feel like they will probably want to stay truer to the characters as we know them, and I suspect to do so they probably need to find bespoke voice actors for each role, but maybe they'll find one person who can do all of them. I don't know. Minachu with a super chat, thank you so much. A big one, says, Charles is one of the best voice actors in video games history. He'll always be my Luigi, so it's sad to see him no longer voicing my favorite Mario character. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not just Mario, it's the entire cast, largely. The big, the male cast, at least. And yeah, Luigi, I love him. His the way he's portrayed in the Luigi's Mansion games in particular is hilarious, and it's going to be another change too. We've heard seemingly little bits of that already in Mario Wonder as well, but it'll be interesting to hear that on a larger scale, such as in a Luigi's Mansion. Which I didn't even think about this, Jake. Luigi's Mansion 2, Dark Moon coming to Switch. Charles Martinet or not? That right?
Oh man, because my brain immediately says Martinet, no question.
Yeah, same.
They're not going back and re-recording those things.
Yep.
But I think that would be weird, especially since Dark Moon, a game no one asked for on Switch, and I don't know. I feel like it's a very Nintendo thing to be like, no, it's different now, and it is not. He will not be any of the characters in our games. And but yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I wonder, did we hear him in? I'm gonna bring it up.
I don't know. Yeah,
I'm bringing it up right now. People might actually hear this playing on my computer. Hopefully, there's no ad for this. I've got to find. Okay. I've got to hear. Do we hear Luigi's? Okay, I'm playing it now.
Let us know, Chad.
We do hear Luigi.
Visually enhanced version of Luigi's Mansion: Dark Moon, originally released on Nintendo.
Based on that, it sounds like the original voice lines. I'm pretty sure, but I want to analyze it now. Is it the exact same? But yeah, it sounds like the same.
Yeah. Because that would be easy to see if it's exactly the same. We would know immediately.
And that's also more of a remaster anyway than it is a remake. So
I agree. Really quick though, a fun fact about we were wondering about the Peach voice actor if she did other characters. So there's this woman, Samantha Kelly. She's been the voice of Peach since Mario Strikers Charged. There's been a few different voice actors for Peach. I was kind of surprised at the list, but yeah. So she's been doing it for a very long time now. But she also voices Toad and Toadette. So who knew?
Wow. All right, I didn't know that. Well, there we go. Yeah.
I didn't know either.
It does. Just economically speaking, it does make sense to use as few voice actors as possible. Sure. So that might lend credence to the idea that maybe they'll find a single replacement for the entire cast that they need to replace now with Charles Martinet leaving. Fire Razor.
Also, I'm almost 100% certain that whoever this person is, they likely will be American, because now looking at all the different voices, they're all Americans for some reason. So.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it seems like NOA took the lead on the character voices for the Mario cast at the least, or if not the lead, were involved with that. But yeah, again, Charles Martinet was in kind of a unique position because he had been voicing Mario, I believe, starting with trade shows in America. So he already had that kind of into voicing. It's like, oh, this voice already works. Let's stick with it. And yeah, so he'd been voicing Mario for, I think, effectively at least 4 years, even before Mario 64, which is interesting. The Mario 64 was his first Nintendo title, but he had appeared in the game prior to that, being Mario Teaches Typing, which is a game I had and was terrible at, because I never got Home Row down, Jake. I still don't use Home Row.
Now
Mario failed me.
Now I gotta tell you, I'm looking at this the like the Wikipedia page for the current Princess Peach voice
Yeah.
actor, and I'm just looking at the whole thing, and now my brain is spinning because now I have no reason to believe that this person won't also be replaced. And you know what I mean? What if they're like, I don't know, like this woman's like almost 60 years old, has like dozens of, it looks like, I don't know, like 40 games under her belt as like Princess Peach and the Toads. Who's to say that Martinet is not like, you know, just the name we all know, so kind of like takes the story, and all of these people are going to be different, you know?
Yeah, anything's possible. Peach's voice has changed
Yeah.
a few times over the years, so it's less of a dramatic
Sure.
shift than it is
Yeah.
for Mario. But I suspect in this case, this is more down. It's less about. I mean, I think it is just that for whatever reason, Nintendo and Martinet decided to split up, and that may be
Sure.
because
Okay.
Martinet is retiring from voicing Mario specifically, or maybe different direction for the character. I don't know. Again, I don't want to speculate. But I think it is probably just Mario and not the entire cast. But we'll find out if that's the case too. I mean, although I suspect, if it were more than Martinet, they probably want to mention that at the same time, just so it doesn't become more of a story. I don't know. I'm not PR.
It's interesting.
Real quick, Fire Razor asks again something that someone else asked earlier. What does being a Mario ambassador even mean? Like, yeah, I mean, I think that really is just like, hey, unofficially he's still gonna support Mario and represent Mario, but I think we're not paying him for it. I think that's probably what that means.
Remember when you bought your 3DS early? Do you know where I'm going with this?
Is there a voicemail or?
No, you became a Nintendo ambassador, and
yep.
they gave you access to GBA games.
Exactly.
So my assumption is that Charles Martinet is the only person in the world that can play Super Mario Galaxy 2 on his Nintendo Switch. He is a Mario ambassador.
Mario ambassador, I love it. Yeah, that's basically what that means, I think.
Yeah,
we'll see though. I mean, if I wonder if there is ever a chance that he could return to the role. You brought up the idea of like a classic Mario earlier. Like maybe there could be like a classic Mario skin, and you get those classic lines. I guess they could just still reuse the library, but maybe they could record something new as well.
Well, I'm kind of into this idea.
Right? Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of like retiring a version of Mario only to like bring him back later, like Sonic Generation style.
Right,
exactly. I know it's cursed to be like Mario should do this thing Sonic did, but that'd actually be kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That'd be neat. All right.
I think it'd be interesting. Multiverse is all the rage these days, so what's to stop them from doing it?
Yeah.
Mr. Maniac says, I think with him being the ambassador, I think that means he'll be the one to choose who the new voice actors are to fill his shoes and possibly give them tips throughout. I love that, like a mentor type thing. We don't know that's the case or not, if he had any role in selecting the role or the person or helping them with it, but that's a cute idea. I like it.
Whoa, like if we see like a picture or like hear about like Martinet was in the booth when they were recording new Mario, that would, I think, make people feel good. That'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I'm about out, Jake. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I just think it's if this, helps anybody's feelings about it, I just think this man has had an incredibly illustrious career that he should be incredibly proud of. And to work at one place and do one thing for like 30 years in any respect is like a big deal.
Yeah.
That's like an accomplishment in it of itself. So I don't know. I understand like change is hard, and it's something that I'm sure a lot of us associate with our own personal childhoods. Like I can take myself back, and the second you said it, that Mario face on the Super Mario 64 start screen,
Yep.
and like him talking to you, you're right. Yeah, that the second you said that at the top of this discussion, that hit me. I was like, oh, you're right. That was like that was iconic, icon distilled. And I think it's cool that we have those things, and I also just think it's cool that experience, that feeling, our relationship to that character is being, I think, boxed up in this way, because I think looking at what's in that box is just astounding. So I kind of think this was one of the better ways it could go, and people should feel good about it.
Yeah, no, I think it's fun that his legacy effectively began with him greeting you in Mario 64, and it ended with him being Mario's dad in the Mario movie. Like it'd be difficult to choose a much better bookends than that.
Totally.
I mean, besides maybe a more fitting outro for him in the games itself. Aside from that, I mean, it's an amazing legacy, voicing the most iconic character for 30 years. Like, that's amazing that they were able to pair those two. Like, you have literally one of the first video game characters, and certainly the longest, one of the most popular of that era, and then pair that with a voice actor that was there for the entire legacy up until now, once they gave him a voice. That's amazing. And the fact that it was, the voice actor himself seems to be like an amazing person, such a friendly, fun individual, and that I've met on multiple occasions. And it's it's hard not to be sad, but at the same time, happy about what we have had with his voice as Mario. So I'll say the hashtag. Thank you, Charles Martinet, for your amazing performance as this character. That's been a huge part of my life, and I'm looking forward to seeing both what you do and where Nintendo takes Mario from here. So, Jake, anything else?
No, that covers it.
All right, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for giving us your thoughts in the chat. Hopefully, everyone is feeling good about this. This is ultimately a happy news day. Like, everyone's parting on good terms. We're getting new Mario games. They're going to be fun and exciting, and should be a good time. So there we go. Everyone, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later, including on Twitch at 2 p.m. Pacific time today for our Mario Kart tournament, which does feature Charles Martinet, the voice as Mario, not himself. That'd be amazing. I'll be there hosting since Trish is out, so check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/GameXplain at 2 p.m. Pacific time for Mario Kart action. Everyone, thanks for watching. We'll catch you later. Bye.